Thank you. I'm going to talk about tasks in Microsoft 365, and I have many roles today as a Microsoft Regional Director, as an MVP, as a CEO of a company, as a consultant, and also for like those focus sessions where I need to troubleshoot something or write the documentation. And for me, being able to master tasks within Teams and within Microsoft 365 is really, really important. But let's dive into why you're here. And I guessing why you're here is how will tasks in Teams work? But before I dive into that, I want to thank our sponsors for ComSource, and it couldn't happen without these sponsors. So visit them in Teams, visit them in the VR world, talk to them, listen to how they can help you do more around Microsoft Teams. They are really important for us, and we are really appreciative of them helping us out, putting this conference up. Okay, so let's dive into tasks in Teams. This is what it will look like, and this is a screenshot from Microsoft Ignite. And what you will see here is that you will have two sections of tasks in Teams. So this is actually the Planner app being renamed to Tasks. And what you will see here is something familiar from Microsoft To Do for those of you who are using Microsoft To Do, where you have planned, important, you have your lists in here, and assigned to you are all your project tasks, and you will get to view them in this list view. But then you also have your projects that you are part of. You can also pin some of the most recent ones, and here you will see the different planner teams and channels you are part of. So in essence, this is a view of your to-do and planner tasks in Teams, so that you don't have to switch app and context when working on your personal productivity and your shared productivity, which Planner is, where you can have tasks across a team, in a project, within your department, and so on and so forth. So let's look a bit more into what you have to say about this. So this is your personal task through To Do and the tasks you are assigned in Planner. It's an app that you can have in Teams so that you don't have to switch contexts. It automatically syncs because it gets your to-do task, it gets your planning tasks and show them in Teams. And you can organize them here. You can add new tasks. You can get stuff done, and also you can make your list of prioritizations. And this will help you do this across apps. So it will be in the desktop app, in the mobile apps, and so on and so forth. But tasks within Microsoft 365 is so much more than that. So you have tasks in Outlook, you have sticky notes, Cortana, OneNote, you can get tasks from Edge, you can have tasks in Office documents, you have project, you have planner. So you have a split between like your personal space and your shared space. And if you look at this chart, you can see that all your personal applications and personal tasks from Outlook specifically, but also when you want to create a task from a website in Edge, you can send everything to Do. And To Do, of course, brings in your flagged emails. And in OneNote, you can create a task which is an Outlook task. So when that syncs to Outlook, it will sync to Do. Same with Cortana, and you're looking at here at a longer term integration between Alexa and Cortana. And you can even have sticky notes creating a task for you in To Do through Cortana. What's been announced at Microsoft Build is that you also have a graph API for creating and working with your to-do tasks. So you can even do more automation and even do it through Flow, which shows us that your personal space, that happens in Microsoft To Do. And then you're looking at your shared space, your shared task, where you work with your team, where you work with your colleagues. You will see that everything will in time show up in Planner. So here you have a Planner in SharePoint, which shows up in Planner. You have a project. I guess some of you are looking at project or thinking about using project. Personally, I use project a lot to manage my team and to look at our workflows and look at hours and making sure that the project stays on time and stays within budget and stays within the parameters that we have set in terms of amount of hours. Then you can assign tasks in project and have them show up in Planner. And this is in progress. And then you can even create tasks in a Word document that is stored in Teams, and you are working in that document. You can mention someone, and that will actually show up as part of a Planner task for them. And that's also a longer term goal to get that up and running. But then again, you have Azure DevOps, where from project, you can even go that way into Azure DevOps. And so everything here, as you see, is connected. But if you want to bet on something, you should bet on To Do and Planner, and you can use Teams to organize that. That's the key takeaway of this session, because if you are thinking about, okay, how should I focus? How should I work correctly with tasks in Microsoft 365? Well, you should do both To Do and Planner, but you should not do personal tasks in Planner. That's wrong, because that's a shared space. You should do all your personal tasks in To Do and do your shared tasks in Planner, for instance. I have heard from customers that they have users that wants to have private planners where they can organize their tasks privately. But that doesn't scale because Planner is a shared environment. It creates an Office 365 or Microsoft 365 group, as it's called now. And it's meant for that shared space where you can add someone from docs and integrated project and so on and so forth. So use Planner for personal, Planner for shared, and To Do for personal. If you focus on that, you will succeed with tasks, or you will grow into it. And when more and more gets worked on this side, you will see more and more show up in To Do as well. So let's look at these two then. Let's dive into this. I'm going to talk a bit about Planner now, and then I'm going to focus mainly on your personal productivity, because I believe that you need to succeed with your personal productivity before you can succeed with team productivity. You need to be tuned to work with tasks and tick them off and create subtasks and work with tasks in a structured way. And you need to do that on a personal level before you can succeed with it in team level. So Planner, that is where you can have buckets. You can sort on tasks assigned to you or assigned to others. And it's easy to add subtasks in Planner tasks. And this is the hero app and the hero location for where you want to work with the shared tasks. So you can create a task from different apps, as I said, and have them show up here. And this integration have been working with Teams well up until now, and will be even better. So it's easy to create that Kanban board. It's easy to do those kind of integration and get your team working on those tasks. To Do is available across Microsoft 365. It's an app that is available across all platforms. And personally, I use To Do all the time. That's where I do all my capture of both thoughts and what I need to get done. And that's where I also break out into lists. so that if I having a really busy time, I will break out and note down in my list and check those my to-do tasks. So one to-do task could be to work with a project. My personal to-do is like, oh yeah, I need to work in that project, so that's what I'm going to do this day, and that could be a task in to-do, and then I go into Planner to look at the details and work with the details there. So that's what I mean with you need to be structured on a personal level in order to succeed with tasks on a team level. But as you see here, this is the same view as you saw in Teams, where you have important, planned, assigned to me, flagged, and tasks, and so on. Assigned to me are, again, your planner tasks that are assigned to you. They stay within this context, but you can work with them from here. You can add subtasks, you can check them off, so you can actually stay within the to-do app and get your planner tasks done as well. Flagged email, use that all the time. And also tasks is the bucket where all your new tasks gets created. And then you can prioritize using important and my day, and I will get back to how I work with that. So I think that to-do task got really great when you can add subtasks to them. So it's not just one task and you need to create a task for each subtask, but you can add to do this week, for instance, and you can add a lot of subtasks to that. Also, what I think is great is when we got the ability to create groups. So I can have lists and then I can have groups of lists. And I will show you later how I do that. So To-do is available across platforms. Personally, I use an Android device and I use Send to To-do all the time. So when I'm surfing around on my mobile, or I find something on a website, or I see a tweet or a LinkedIn post, I use Send to Do all the time in order to get it for later. What I don't like is when I have seen an article, seen a post about something, and then I find later that I want to use that or find that reference or read up on that blog post, but I can't find it again because I don't remember what it was or how I can search to find it again. But Send to do, and then I have it. I always know where to find it. I find it in my flagged email or tasks and so on. So To-do and Planner, focus on those and you will succeed with tasks in Microsoft 365. And I've been talking about this for quite some years, actually. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about this, and I have been looking into other productivity methodologies like getting things done, the 5-minute rule, 5-second rule, and for you as well, you need to find like the productivity methodology that works for you, that resonates with you. So look at what I have and suggest here, and pick up on the stuff that you find interesting. So I have created a life cycle of tasks where number one is change. And I'm not going to dive into this in this session, but change is where you need to decide that, hey, I actually do want to change my habits. And a lot of us already have, in some way or another, changed our habits these days, because it takes about 21 days or more to change a habit. And right now I've been working from home, a lot of us, for maybe longer than that. And we see other users within organizations that have been working from home or changing the way they work for the past couple of months. So change is actually something we are getting more used to these days. And now we need to find new ways to work that are scalable, that works when you are super busy, but also when you have a lot of time on your hand, and also works in when you are disconnecting in vacation mode, or you are really working hard on lots of different projects and juggling around with everything you are working on. So you need to figure out why you want to change. Why would you like to change the way you used to do? Or maybe you are not using To-do today. You're using other third-party to-do applications or task applications, because there's so many of them. If you are using a third party today, I would really recommend looking into To-do, because the reason for that is, well, it's connected to everything within Microsoft 365, which it will show up in Teams and so on and so forth. So if you want to succeed with tasks in Microsoft 365, you really should look into To-do. And one other thing is that I've been hearing from consultants and from colleagues and from customers these days that it's really difficult to really reach that state of deep work because now you're always working in the same place, your home office, and it may be super easy to distract yourself by meetings and waiting for meetings and doing meetings and meetings, and then you have meetings about meetings, and we are seeing that we're meeting a lot more, and we have back-to-back meetings because we all are remote. But it's important to set off time to get stuff done as well. And when you have planned to get that stuff done, it's super important that now I'm going to do this one thing. I'm going to focus on that and get that done. Because if you spend like 3 hours getting started with a task, but you are continuously distracting yourself with an email over there and Twitter over there and Facebook and a news site and then talking to colleagues and following in Teams, and super easy to just have the day slide away without you really getting stuff done. So this is about that. First off, we need to capture the information. I'm not going to deep dive into capture, but I'm going to show you how I capture tasks in Teams and have them show up in To-do and the technique we need to use today for that. But as you remember, flagging of email shows up in To-do. Taking screenshots and taking notes when I take, I need to remember this. I note that down in To-do. And capture is all about getting it out of your head. Because it turns out your head and your brain is created for having ideas and not storing them. So you need to get all those ideas out of your head. And that was something David Allen said. He's the one that wrote the book on getting things done methodology, which I really subscribe to. And I find that super important, because if you walk around keeping information and your to-do lists in your head, you are spending a lot of energy. It's really draining your batteries for relaxing when you need to relax and work when you need to work. So if typically when I'm about to fall asleep or something like that, I remember, I should have done this, or this would be cool to do. What I do is pick up the phone and I write down the task in To-do just as a new task, put it in there, brain dump it, and then I can forget about it. But two things happen actually. One is that you can forget about it, but two, you remember it better because you wrote it down. It may not have been a good task, but then you don't need to keep it in your head in order to remember it for maybe sometimes, because it turns out that bringing up those memories of those to-do tasks you have in your head, that is difficult, because sometimes you forget half of it and you don't remember it at the correct time, and you keep on remembering it and so on. So get it out and into To-do. And then we need to work with the process and organize. So one thing is capture, and it's great that if you succeed with capture, but you also need to reserve time for organize and process this. Or organize these into lists, prioritize what's important for you, delegate what's need to be delegated. Sometimes a task can be done in under 2 minutes. Sometimes it's a large project. It really depends what kind of thing it is. And then we prioritize, and we use that prioritization in order to execute. And I'm going to show you and talk about the Pomodoro technique, which I'm a really big fan of, where you do single tasking the correct way and reach the flow state. So let's look into capture. So here I want to show you how I do capture within Teams today. So here I have gotten a task where someone asked me to get this thing done, and I will do that by today. I would share this task with myself in Outlook. Of course, you can bookmark stuff, you can interact with stuff, but that doesn't show up anywhere. So I want this to show up in To Do. So I send it to myself as an email. And when I receive it as an email, I will flag it. So I will go into Outlook, where I get it as an email, and I flag it. That's it. And this is what I do with all my actionable emails, those I don't want to execute on then and there. Maybe I get an important email in the evening, I see it, but I don't want to execute on it. But it's important for me, so I flag it. And I don't use flagged emails in Outlook. I bring this out of Outlook and bring it into To Do. Because when I get it into To Do, I get it under flagged email, and I can add more tasks to it, and I can organize it, put it into lists, and and I can prioritize it, and so on and so forth. So now I got a task in from Teams into Outlook, which I flag into To Do. And this is the flow today for that. Of course, there are other ways to do this, but I tend to want to use native features to get this done. And hopefully there would be like a add to do app at one point, or add to planner directly from Teams. But right now, this is what I do to get this stuff done, because it's based on a structure and a way to work with it that scales outside of Teams. But I do have philosophy of capture, and I have a YouTube channel, so I actually have a lot of different techniques for capturing different kinds of information. And I previously did this into OneNote, but everything can translate into To Do. But I also have a Getting Started with To Do here on YouTube, and I especially have a philosophy of capture. So look into that video if you want to learn more. Number 3 is processing and organizing. And this is actually the hard part, right? Because the problem is you reserving time to actually process stuff. And what I like about this way of working is that I don't have to do it every day. A good practice is to do it every day. And my preference in a calendar is not to set off time for doing a specific task, because I don't know when I start my day what my most important task at that point in time would be, because it could be a task I get this morning, or it could be a task I have gotten a long time ago that suddenly has a deadline I got aware of. So set off time for To Do, and go into To Do and look at your prioritization list in order to do this, and also organize that time. If you get to do it in the morning and at the end of the day, then you're really succeeding with this. That you're planning your day in the morning and planning your next day, and sorting and organizing stuff you got that day at the end of the day, then you're really succeeding with this. Or at least set a reserve time at the end of the week, or every 14 days, or this even works at the end of the month, because you will always know where you find your tasks. They are either in your flagged emails or they are in your task section. So you will find them, but you will succeed even more with those if you organize them and break them down. So let's look at how I organize this into lists. So here I'm logging on to the iPad. Actually, this is the app on the computer. And what I want to show you is that I create some tasks within To Do. or lists. And I find lists are important. And this is actually based on the getting things done methodology, where you should organize into different bins. So I have customer bins, I have internal work bins, I have blogging bins, and I have so on and so forth. And I try to organize them in that way. And they're just like a bin and a folder for your tasks. But by organizing them in that way, then I can say, hey, I want to complete or look at all the customer tasks I have this day, or company internal tasks that I have this day, and see if I'm missing out on anything that I've been flagging earlier. Also, tech training is when I find material, blogs, docs articles that I want to read up on, but I don't have time then and there. Then I will store that and organize that into tech training. And that could be something I want to revert back to over time, multiple times. So here you see some suggestions of lists that I've created: customers, company internal, tech training, and private and home stuff. I find this to be important. And then you can, this is from the iPad, where you can just sort and store those tasks from flagged email and tasks into those lists. Right now, those planner tasks, you cannot move into those lists because they stay in planner, but for everything else, you can do that. And this is for sorting and organizing it. And one more thing is that when you are starting a task or creating a task or organizing a task, it's really good to be specific, because a task could be, okay, I have a Microsoft 365 project. All right, there is a lot of subtasks I need to get done. So in order to get that done, I should brainstorm what I need to do to get this done. I need to call Maurice. I need to validate the best practices in docs. I need to do all these subtasks to reach my larger goal. And this is taking straight out of the book of Getting Things Done, where you should brainstorm and note that down and create those subtasks, because the next time you're looking at that task or looking at if this is a high priority task, what's my next thing? Maybe calling Maurice only takes 5 minutes. So I can do that when I have 5 minutes, instead of looking at the whole project where I need to reinvent every time what I need to do to move forward. Now I have done that and I remember it, and I can check stuff off, and it says ding every time I do that. and also sometimes I add stuff and do them and tick them off, just to make sure that yes, I have done something and I have brought the project moving forward, and so on and so forth. So I think this is a really key takeaway, and you can do this now in To-Do, where you have subtasks to a task. Really important. And then you can group your lists into groups. So I have 2 types of groups, actually. I have current, and current is tasks that need to get done. When I'm done with them, they are gone. And then I have information for reference basis. That's maybe information I will revert back to, or are more longer term articles I want to read, or information I need to find again. And that's typically tech articles and blog posts. And also I write a book on Microsoft 365 and the Teams calling and meetings chapter in the Office 365 for IT pros. So when I find an article there, I may have a long-term goal to get that into the book. So I would add that as more as a reference. So I make sure I align myself to that kind of information that I want to bring into that book. So those are the 2 groups I like to use. And I use actually this same setup in OneNote, because when I'm storing information in OneNote, and typically reference information I store in OneNote is how-to stuff. Sometimes I do something every half year where I need to know how I create a playlist in YouTube, for instance. or how I log on to a specific service, or where my flower service is, because I send out flowers to my coworkers at some point when they have birthdays or when new employee starts and all that, or something like that. So I have a reference. So all my sessions, for instance, and session abstracts, I don't want to reinvent myself every time. So, but I have all my abstracts for my sessions in a reference subsection or a section group in OneNote as well. And current are stuff I need to get done. When it's done, it's gone. Those are the two different groups I create. The point is that this is what you need to do in terms of process and organize. You process it and organize it, and you work with it to see what are my next steps here for those tasks. And you don't have to do it, but it's really strongly recommended to do it at one point. You don't have to do it every day. Do it once a week. Do it every 14 days, but create a habit of organizing and processing, because then you get a more structured approach to prioritizing as well. And that's where the important flag in to-do comes into play. And the moment you have been organizing this, you also know what is important for you to get done. And that's where you can do that. And by looking at the task, here you have in customers, I have this Microsoft 365 project. That's an important task for me. So I can go into the different lists and list groups, and I can flag information and tasks to be important for me. And when I have done that, you will see that important will then show tasks that are important for me, both from customers, tech training, company internal. So this is where you find that one list that is important for you, regardless of where these tasks are stored. And this is why listing and grouping actually works, because that's okay that you do that, but you always need to find that list that you can prioritize of all your tasks, what is important for you. So here is the Microsoft 365 project. I have some detailed stuff I need to get done, but this project may also exist in Planner. So one task here is when I'm actually working with my Microsoft 365 project is to actually execute all my Planner tasks and update those and create details around that and keep my coworkers up to date on what I'm working on. But now I have my list. And if you do this right, this is the list of your most important tasks in the world at that moment in time for you. How awesome is that? All right, let's see what we can do with that, because now we're getting to the fun stuff, and that is actually getting stuff done. Because right now we've only been sorting and capturing and organizing and all that, but now we need to actually get stuff done, and that's a challenge these days. It's a major challenge, and the problem today is that we have been trained to have a short attention span. At the moment we got the smartphones in our pockets, we have been trained to have short attention span, to look for notifications, see what's happening, get that dopamine rush, the rush that you get awarded for looking at the notification because it could be important. And this is the challenge of getting stuff done, because you will disturb yourself with notifications. But it turns out, by not looking at notifications for like 20 minutes, that's okay. You can do that. And so the problem is multitasking. No one knows how to multitask, and those who are good at multitasking are actually really good at doing single tasking really fast. So here are sources of disturbance, and this is in these times where you have a lot of work from home. This is your life all of a sudden. right? You have social media, you have news outlets, you have your mobile, you have that you need to go and get some coffee, and Teams. A lot of stuff is happening in Teams and then Outlook and so on and so forth. And if you keep juggling between all this all the time, we really are not getting stuff done. And I bet that you have started maybe a Teams post or an Outlook email, and by the end of the day, you find that, oh, I never sent that email because you got distracted and went to do something else. And then there were a meeting, and then meetings the rest of the day, and suddenly you didn't get to send that one email that was important to get sent. And in 2006, the American Psychological Association found that 40% of our productive time is spent switching content and context. And if we keep switching context all the time, that's all of our productive time. So I believe that this is actually flipped or even higher now, because this was in 2006, before we got the smartphones in our pocket, before we were conditioned to look at notifications all the time. So now I believe this is even higher. So every time you switch context, regardless of what it is, nothing takes 5 minutes, right? Because you need to switch context, get into flow, and then do it. So this is our challenge today. And the goal is reaching the flow state, but typically that happens off hours, early in the morning, late in the evenings, when your coworkers aren't disturbing you. That's what you think, but it's actually you who are disturbing you. So this can actually be done during the day, and the flow state is actually a thing. And I wanted to go and get inspired by Jason Silva on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search for Jason Silva and find his videos on flow state. They really inspire me, and take a look at them. They are short videos, so it should match your attention span as well. So what if I told you it's possible to reach the flow state between meetings? So you have 20 minutes time between those meetings you have, or a half an hour, or even maybe 2 hours. What can you do with all that time? Well, by picking the red pill, the Pomodoro technique, that is how you can induce the flow state, even in super busy work hours. So the Pomodoro technique is simple. It's about focusing on your most important task for 10 to 25 minutes, because it turns out it takes about 7.5 minutes till 10 minutes to reach the flow state. And you know you've been reaching the flow state when time just flies away. Suddenly those 25 minutes were gone. But you can get so much done during that time. You can go through your inbox and answer those emails, look at Teams posts and follow up on that. Start your documentation. Get stuff done. And so even 15 minutes is super valuable in terms of getting this. So, but this is hard. This is actually super hard if you've not been working with reaching the flow state during busy times. And because we have been conditioned to look at notifications every, I would say, between 1 and 5 minutes. And as you remember, the flow states happen after 7.5 to 10 minutes, which means you need to stay away from notifications and distractions for over 10 minutes. Yes, I know it's super hard, but you need to train yourself and retrain yourself in order to reaching the flow state. So this is where we use to do as well, because you have your important list, which could be this long, right? Spread across all your different lists. But then you have those 3 most important tasks that you need to get done that day. And this is what you use Add to My Day for in To Do. And if I get to do one Pomodoro sprint, which is 25 minutes in a day, I'm super happy actually. And if I get to do multiple, that's like crazy, because I know we do have a lot of meetings. I know we need to interact with our colleagues, so that's okay. But I need to find those 25 minutes to get stuff done. And it's incredible what you can get done in those minutes. So here we're back in To Do, and you can add to my day. So I go in the beginning of the day and adding to my day. This is this is my most important task. So, and those tasks will disappear after a day, and that's a good thing because all your high priority tasks are important, which means that every day or every time you're going to do a Pomodoro, you go through your important list and add to my day those who want to do just then. And you know what? That my day task, that is the single most important thing you can be doing at that point in time. So you shouldn't have in the back of your head that, oh, maybe I have something more important that needs to be done. No, I will focus on this because this is the one thing I need to do right now, which means that you're entitled to disconnect. Yes, I said disconnect. And use the tools available for you. Turns out that alpha waves are helping you to focus. So try to induce that. And especially if you haven't been working in this way before, use a headset. This is the productivity headset from EPOS, the Adapt 660, which is team certified, great for music, noise canceling, and all that. But if you haven't been working in this way before, then I really recommend to look at Alpha Wave Music. You can find that on YouTube, which is typically music between 50 and 80 beats per minute. Here is my current playlist, and you can find this if you look up this slide deck afterwards. This is music, there's no vocals, and I listen to the same order every time. And I've heard this so much that I don't really pay attention to it. So that's the important thing, to listen to music that you don't pay attention to. So don't listen to new music, don't listen to music that you don't regularly listen to. And this is, I call it waltz spiral, because it's waltz, which is between 50 and 80 beats per minute. And they're like spiraling me down to that focus area. And this really works well for me. And especially this song, listen to it. For me, I always disappear in my thoughts when I listen to that song. That works for me. Check it out. So you are your self-worst enemy. So during a Pomodoro sprint, if you want to go to Facebook, no. Twitter, no. No. Instagram, no. Reddit, no. Mobile, no. Getting coffee, sorry. That's switching context, right? Your favorite news site, no. So every time you're trying to distract yourself with something, you should know, no, I can wait 5 minutes. I can wait 5 minutes. I need to get this done, and stay in flow state. So this is important. And I have a geeky approach to this as well. I created a PowerShell script because I believe that it's important to remove distractions. So what I do is I start presentation mode on my computer. Then I hide badges on taskbar buttons because I don't want to close Outlook. I don't want to close Teams because part of my routine may be to work in Teams, for instance. But I had badges, so I don't see that I get a new message, because the moment I see a new message in Teams, in the badge in the taskbar, I'm done. I need to go look, and I'm switching context, and I'm gone. And also starting my Spotify playlist. And I use if this then that, which also works on iOS now, that you can mute my mobile. Yeah, yes, totally mute it. But then after 25 minutes, I become available again. That's equally important. So I use this to jumpstart getting stuff done, because after 25 minutes, it's okay to get this done. But maybe I go on for an hour, for instance, because now I'm in the flow. Now I'm getting started with that documentation, and I just keep going. Or even start a new Pomodoro, for instance. But you need to become available again after those 25 minutes, because there could be a meeting happening. There could be some important stuff happening in Teams. You just go in, realign, reprioritize, and then do another Pomodoro. This is how you execute on your to-do tasks. And as you remember, to-do is your personal productivity. And as you understand now that your personal to-do tasks goes over to working structured with Planner as well, which is important. So know that why you should use to-do is because everything within Microsoft 365 on personal space goes into to-do, and everything on the shared space will come up in Planner in time, and everything can be shown in Teams. How awesome is that? So there is a lot of tasks in Microsoft 365, but if you focus on To Do and Planner, then you will survive this. And then we have lists, which is an evolution of SharePoint lists. And I believe this is not tasks, but more like list of stuff to get done, and in time maybe they will integrate with Planner. But yeah, that was announced on Build, and it's more like creating lists of stuff that needs to go into routine and so on and so forth. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Make sure you evaluate the session. Use this code, session survey. Use this code and scan it. We also have a chapter on tasks in the Office 365 for IT Pros book where we really dive into Planner. So I recommend that for those shared workspaces and really understanding Planner. My name is Ståle Hansen, and you can find more information about what I think about task management and getting stuff done on my YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ståle, for that great session. Lots of enthusiasm. That's wonderful. That's all the time we have for this session. And if you would like to talk more with Ståle, you can follow up with this session and find him in the session breakout area. I have put the link to the breakout session in the Q&A. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your Commsverse sessions. Thanks.
Thanks.